Good morning. Glad I got a chance to spend some time with you today. Hope it'll be an encouragement to you. Going through the book of Nehemiah, we learn so much about how to be a great leader, how to lead our families, how to lead churches, in any organization, because Nehemiah gives us principles of leadership that we need to incorporate into our daily lives. We get to the next principle, and the next principle is not a very easy principle to do because it's found in Nehemiah chapter 5. And from verse 1 down to about verse 14, verse 15, we see a situation that unfolds that makes Nehemiah mad. And what amounted to, because of the famine, because of the situation, of everything's going on, those rulers and those high up in the upper echelon, if whatever you want to say, were taking advantage of the average person. And what they were doing is they didn't have enough to eat, and so they were selling them corn. And when they couldn't pay, they were taking the land, they were taking all of everything they had, and they was charging interest on top of it. And when Nehemiah learned about it, matter of fact, let me read just a couple of verses here. It says down in verse 3, so also there was said that said, we have mortgaged our lands, vineyard, houses, that we may buy corn because of the dearth, because of the famine. We have borrowed money for the king's tribute. And he goes on down, and then it gets down to verse 6, and he said, I was very angry when I heard their crying these words. Then I consulted with myself, and I rebuked the nobles. Now, he rebuked the nobles. Now, great leaders confront wrongs. They don't shy away from conflicts, but when somebody's doing wrong, they confront it. And so notice what Nehemiah does. When you go on down, Nehemiah calls an assembly to get them all together. And in verse 9, also I said, it is not good that ye do, ought ye not to walk in the fear of our God because of the reproach of the heathen, our enemies. I likewise and my brethren, my servants, might exact money and corn. I pray you, let us leave off this usury or this interest. Restore, I pray you, their lands. In other words, Nehemiah said, make it right. You don't need to be doing this. These are your countrymen. You should not be taking advantage of them. And so Nehemiah confronted them. Now, the nobles, they tell Nehemiah, okay, we're going to give them their land back. We're not going to charge them anything. We're going to just wipe the slate clean. Notice what Nehemiah does. Listen to this. Nehemiah, in verse 12, then said they, we will restore them and will require nothing of them. So will we do as thou sayest. Now Nehemiah goes, then I called the priest and took an oath of them, that they should do according to this promise. In other words, Nehemiah brought them before the priest, and he made them take an oath before the Lord that they would do what they promised to do. And it reads down further that they did what they promised. Great leaders confront evils. Great leaders confront wrongs. They don't shy away from the conflict. Now, this is not easy. It's not easy having a conflict. It's not easy confronting, but it's necessary. And it's necessary for both parties. The ones that were being abused and the ones that were doing the abusing by charging the interest. Because both of them need addressing. Because these needed restoring and the others need to restore. And so Nehemiah confronted. Great leaders don't shy away from conflict. They confront them. And that's what we need to do. We need to do it in the love and the mercy and the grace of the Lord. We need to do it with a love and compassion in our hearts when we have to confront others because of sin and the wrong. We have to be very careful. And there's a lot of principles that you need to follow, especially when I think over in Galatians when it talks about you need to consider yourself, because what matters when you have to confront somebody, it says you that are mature, you that are able, when you confront, you need to consider yourself, because if you were in the same situation, you might be doing exactly the same thing as that person. So be very careful Go with a heart of compassion and mercy and grace to make sure the person is restored. It's all about restoration. We need to restore others. I hope and pray you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow.